Today, due to the continued spread of variants of concern, I am announcing new rules for some international travel.
Canada bans flights from India and Pakistan for the next 30 days amid a surge of cases in both countries.
A surge of people in BC with COVID needing critical care means hundreds of non-urgent surgeries are being put on hold.
The pressure on our healthcare system is immense right now, and our healthcare workers need our help.
So is this going to get the result we want, and is the cost going to be worth it?
As the province prepares to tighten the leash on travel, the union representing RCMP officers is urging careful treading, not just on the logistics, but also public trust.
Breaking news from Ottawa, where the federal government has announced it will ban all passenger flights from India and Pakistan, two countries where COVID-19 outbreaks are raging.
Effective 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, I am suspending all commercial and private passenger flights arriving in Canada from India and Pakistan for 30 days.
While India accounts for 20% of recent air travel volumes to Canada, over 50% of all positive tests conducted at the border are from this country. And a similarly high level of cases compared to travel rates have also been linked to Pakistan.
Passengers who depart from India or Pakistan by an indirect route after 11:30 tonight will need to obtain a negative COVID-19 test before departing for Canada. Cargo flights will be allowed to ensure the continued supply of vaccines and PPE. The government is stressing now is not the time to travel, and it will not hesitate to ban flights from other countries as variants spread. Up until now, the Trudeau Liberals have avoided targeting specific countries when imposing restrictions on incoming travel. Today, India saw the world's highest ever daily case count, logging more than 300,000 new infections. There are 1,006 new cases of COVID-19 here in BC tonight, and 4 more people have died in the last day. 502 people are currently in hospital, with 161 in intensive care. More than 1.5 million British Columbians have been given at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. And as of tomorrow, everyone 18 and older can register for a vaccination through the government's website.
Gen X is getting jiggy with the AstraZeneca dose.
Night sweats, fever, chills.
But how concerned should they be about a potential vaccine hangover?
COVID hospitalizations are surging. BC's top doctor calling the number of ICU cases alarming, and something has to give.
It is at the point now where we have had to stop scheduled surgeries so that we can give people what they need to be able to care for people who are in hospital right now.
This means for 2 weeks to start, non-urgent surgeries on hold, affecting 1,000 people in Vancouver Coastal, 750 in Fraser Health, and more on the island. It's staffing, not space, at issue.
The pressure on our healthcare system is immense right now, and our healthcare workers need our help.
On the critical care front lines, the workload relentless for more than a year, and worse now.
See patients that occasionally come in quite sick, having to deal with, whether they're going to get sicker and have to be admitted to ICU. All of that kind of stuff kind of gathers over time.
Nurses have witnessed a significant amount of human suffering through the pandemic, a lot of loss. And many nurses experienced those things when families weren't able to be present.
And endless new information about the virus.
Been like taking a continuing medical education course several times a day, every single day. The information just comes at us so quickly and it changes so fast.
The province is moving some nurses to hospitals in hotspots and calling in the troops.
As well, 8 nurses were redeployed from the Provincial Health Services Authority to Fraser Health. In addition, Lower Mainland health authorities are asking staff who are specialty trained in critical care and currently working in community settings to return to hospital ICU settings on a voluntary basis.
He's clear hospitals are safe if you need urgent care. The hope is non-urgent surgeries will start again in 2 weeks, but right now, healthcare workers need you to help them.
They want people to pay attention now because we know what we need to do to stop this transmission, and we need to give them a break.
For City News in Victoria, I'm News 1130's Lisa Usda.
For people that are looking for that big celebration, I think if they're willing to wait, then I would say postponing would be a better option.
Wedding season is nearing, and it's the second year in a row couples are having to navigate COVID-19 restrictions. How the pandemic has shaped the industry and what experts expect this season to look like.
Paramedics in BC are calling it a somber day. Yesterday was the highest day for overdose calls in the province since the opioid crisis started 5 years ago. There were 138 calls, with a little more than 70% of them in the Vancouver, Coastal and Fraser Health regions. The only other times there have been more than 130 calls were in June of last year and late last month. Last year, paramedics responded to more than 27,000 overdose calls. There have been 3 deadly shootings across the Lower Mainland since Saturday, and police in Metro Vancouver are condemning the gun violence and acknowledging the public's concern. The most recent incident happened yesterday. A man was shot and killed at the Langley Sportsplex in broad daylight. On Monday, a 20-year-old was gunned down at a basketball court at Coquitlam's Town Centre Park, and a man was shot and killed in front of Cardero's restaurant in Vancouver's Cole Harbour neighborhood on Saturday night. No arrests have been made in any case, and police say the violence has to stop.
The recent homicides in Langley, Coquitlam, and Vancouver have a common theme. They were all committed in public spaces, during daylight hours, where children, families, and on one occasion, a city mayor was present when they happened. This is unacceptable and will not be tolerated.
We understand the public's concern about these acts of violence, and we share the same concern. These shootings were a blatant disregard for public safety.
Call police if you have any information. The man convicted of murdering a 13-year-old girl and injuring another at an Abbotsford high school more than 4 years ago has been found criminally responsible for the crime. A BC Supreme Court judge has rejected Gabriel Klein's argument he suffered a mental disorder that made him unable to understand his actions. Klein was convicted last year for the murder of 13-year-old Letitia Reimer and the aggravated assault of her friend at Abbotsford Senior Secondary in 2016. This means the case moves on to sentencing. Klein has schizophrenia and previously testified he believed he was stabbing a witch and a monster.
This week's large fire at an under-construction condo complex in Langley has left a few hundred people wondering where they'll be living later this year. The development at 206 and 80th was destroyed Monday night, just months away from completion.
I just felt really helpless, and it was really sad to kind of watch all that work just be gone.
Taylor Janik and her fiance were among the people getting ready to move into the development in the fall. She lives in Langley and rushed to see the fire when she found out it was her future home that was in flames.
I was speechless, and I started crying. It was just, you don't even really think about it. You see pictures and stuff, but just seeing it in person and something that you're so excited about, it means a lot to you. You're so excited for, and all of a sudden it's just gone. And there's nothing you can do.
On its website, the developer RDG Management says once it has access to the site, it'll have a better idea of the fire's impact to construction. It's reaching out to pre-sale customers like Janik to let them know it's committed to rebuilding and completing the complex. But without a timeline, many are in limbo.
As of right now, we're okay for the next 6 months or so till we were scheduled to fully move in, but I'm not too sure after that what we'll be doing.
It's still not clear what caused the fire. 3 nights later, firefighters remain on scene, putting out hotspots.
I would say that it was one of the largest fires that we've seen in the history of the Township of Langley Fire Department, both in intensity and in dollar loss value. We don't have an actual dollar loss value, but we know it's going to be extremely high.
But he's thankful despite the destruction, no one was lost or hurt. For City News in Vancouver, I'm News 1130's Monica Gould.
Based on some of the snippets that we've heard from the Premier and Minister Farnsworth, there's some concerns.
BC is preparing to clamp down on non-essential travel on Friday in an effort to slow the spread of COVID-19. Public Safety Minister Mike Farnworth will hold a news conference from the BC Legislature to go over some new provincial restrictions. People will be expected to stay within their health authorities, but more information is expected to be released on how the restrictions will be enforced. Road checks could be expected at places like BC ferries and highways into the interior. The National Police Federation warns there are still a lot of unknowns surrounding logistics and manpower.
How many check stops would we need? Are they going to be manned for 5 weeks straight? 24 hours a day? We don't have people sitting around waiting for extra duties.
Minister Farnworth released a statement late Thursday attempting to belay some concerns, saying the province has been meeting with stakeholders and that travel out of your region has already been not advised for some time. What is new is that for a short time there will now be an order that prohibits non-essential travel between defined regions.
In terms of what can best be described as a counterattack kind of roadblock, they absolutely will not be set in places such as Boundary Road or Fraser.
My heart goes out to a lot of people who've been planning like weddings and special events.
If this had happened last year, I would have been 100% on board, but it seems like the reaction is more reactive than proactive.
We've done such a great job so far that if we continue to do a great job and just follow the rules, we'll get there slowly but surely.
It makes sense, and I think it needs to happen.
There have also been reports of some hotels on Vancouver Island cancelling bookings for people from the Lower Mainland. Dr. Bonnie Henry says the province is working with the tourism industry to discourage travel outside health authorities, but she says travel within is still on the table.
Yes, if you are somebody who goes camping by themselves or with your family, not interacting in the community, do it within your local region.
The union representing the RCMP is still urging caution and says authorities need to be thorough in their cost-benefit analysis of the plan.
We want to be very cautious. The public trust is incredibly important. For police to be able to operate appropriately, in a society, you have to have public confidence.
To be pulled over to enjoy places in your own province is kind of ridiculous.
It seems a little bit invasive.
Maybe a bit harsh. I think we as a community can self-regulate,
but hopefully it's not overkill.
Just the optics of stopping people for, and asking, where are you going and why are you going there? That's tough for a lot of police officers to swallow.
You can watch Minister Farnworth's briefing on provincial travel restrictions Friday morning at 9:30. We'll carry it live on our website, citynews1130.com. In Vancouver, David Zura, City News.
We all don't know when we can get back to the normal weddings again.
Warmer weather means wedding season is nearing. But with COVID-19 cases seeing a surge, it looks like couples will have to navigate another year of restrictions before they can say I do.
For people that are looking for that big celebration, I think if they're willing to wait, then I would say postponing would be a better option.
I solemnly declare.
With current health orders restricting weddings to only 10 people, including the officiant, many couples who have already postponed their wedding from 2020 are holding off for another year.
I carried 21 weddings over that were booked from last year into this year. 3 of those still haven't decided what they're going to do. One's for June. We've had a couple people booked for August. And most people are moving to next year because they're just so not sure what's going to happen.
Maureen Brown with Emerald Events says many vendors may not be able to make it through another tough year.
If you have an office or anything like that without any income coming in, that's going to be really difficult. And I would say some vendors have gone out and found new careers.
Some vendors are adapting to accommodate pandemic needs. Crystal Chang is a wedding planner with Lux Weddings in Vancouver and is offering a new service to her clients this year.
This year, because of the pandemic and the situation that we're in right now, we have decided to offer all-inclusive elopement packages to basically help couples plan and also have a safe wedding if they want to make it official this year.
And there will soon be even more restrictions to consider, with the provincial government expected to impose travel restrictions on Friday.
People that are even planning like small backyard with 10 people and stuff, if you can't travel, if your aunt can't travel from Kelowna, you're not going to be able to do it. So even the very, very small weddings are going to be affected by these new restrictions.
When City News spoke with wedding experts last spring, they had expected 2021 to be a busy wedding season. But with restrictions still in place, it looks like 2022 is going to take the cake.
2022, I've got Tuesday weddings and Thursday weddings and Sunday weddings, because you've got the brides that booked in 2020, the brides that booked in 2021, and then people that are engaged that just want to get married next year. So all those sort of three are all coming together in one season.
And Brown's advice to engaged couples: do what makes you happy.
You know, you only get married once and you only have a reception once, and you should do it and be able to enjoy it.
In Burnaby, Miranda Fatour, City News.
You've been pointing out these situations for a very, very long time.
Wednesday was a troubling day at Vancouver City Hall, with 3 city councillors calling out and leaving their party, describing things as being about as old boys club as it gets. Why experts say it's an ongoing issue for women in politics.
Gen Xers were often called disaffected and cynical, but not when it comes to the AstraZeneca vaccine. They are signing up in record numbers, lining up to get their vaccine, then posting shots of their shot online. But many of us are waking up the next morning feeling like we partied like it was 1999.
Like, my enthusiasm was ridiculous. I was like a 4-year-old.
Claire McDonald was ready to bust a move when Alberta opened the AstraZeneca vaccine to those aged 40 plus. But after getting her shot, the flu-like side effects kept her up all night long.
And at 3 a.m. that night, it was like I got woken up by night sweats. My bed was soaked, deep soreness, like all over the body, with like kind of cramping.
50% or more, that will have some sort of low-level sort of feeling, unwellness feeling.
While Gen Xers were eager to walk this way for the vaccine, many found the experience to be a bittersweet symphony due to even low-level side effects. And data shows similar side effects with the second shot for all brands. But you ought to know that's proof the vaccine is working.
Our immune system is kicking in, and basically the vaccine is training our body to respond to the COVID-19 virus.
I don't think it is a form of narcissism. I really do think it is an opportunity to celebrate a moment, to celebrate science.
Timothy Caulfield studies medical misinformation. He believes having Gen X Zeneca share their enthusiasm is vital to counter those vocal vaccine opponents on the sidelines.
Talking about getting vaccinated, it's a good thing. It normalizes it. You have somewhere between 20 and 25% of Canadians being unsure. In Alberta, it's over 20% of people saying they're not going to get the vaccine.
This is a teeny little bit of insight into what COVID-19 patients have to deal with.
After 2 difficult days, Claire McDonald is back to feeling the good vibrations from her dose, and she's already hungry like the wolf to get her second jab.
Really happy that my antibodies worked so hard. Totally worth it. And join the team of selfies, taking photos.
In Calgary, Tara Overholt, City News.
This week, that's our slow week. Next week, with 1 million of Pfizer and 650,000 of Moderna, it's another step up.
Despite long lineups to get a COVID vaccine, officials say the rollout is going as planned.
You can still walk the White Rock Pier and Promenade. City Council was considering closing them down in an effort to keep the crowds away during the pandemic. But councillors decided against it at a special meeting last night. They also could have shut down the waterfront parking lots along Marine Drive, but are keeping them open too. Thousands of people flocked to the area over the weekend, forcing municipal politicians to look at their options.
It was about as old boys club as it gets. That's what 3 female Vancouver city councillors had to say as they called out and left their party because of a so-called backroom deal. Experts say this continues to be a problem female politicians in particular face.
Maybe someone can ride in and knock heads and say, hey, you're never going to win this way. You have to be broader and more inclusive, and that has to be demonstrated. But I don't know. At this point, it doesn't look great.
Local journalist Francis Beulah has covered Vancouver City Council for 26 years and says the departure of the city councillors and the mention of an old boys club doesn't come as a huge surprise.
I mean, the NPA has always been a bit of an old boys club, but it used to be like old boy blue chip lawyers and architects and aspiring professionals around town. And it's just devolved into this strange organization now.
The 3 female city councilors say they're leaving the party in protest of what they call a backroom deal that saw Park Board Commissioner John Cooper selected as the party's mayoral candidate for a civic election that is still 18 months away.
It plays out at all levels where decisions are made based on personal networks and who people know.
Dr. Marina Adshade with UBC's Vancouver School of Economics says so-called boys' clubs have always had a major presence in politics and tend to produce a lack of diversity.
People who joined those networks, 30, 40 years ago, they end up appointing people who kind of look like them. Mostly white men. And so it just getting reinforced over and over again.
Green Party Vancouver City Councillor Adrienne Carr says she faced clear gender-based discrimination at the beginning of her political career.
I remember people being pretty dismissive of me as a young woman. Of course, I was with a new party with a new set of values being brought into the political arena. But yeah, there were some that just pretty well discounted me as I think I was called a lamb amongst wolves.
It's only really when men decide that they're going to push back against these systems that we're ever really going to see change. And that I do believe we're seeing. And I think that is something that is pretty recent.
So far, no women have entered the race to be elected Vancouver's next mayor. In Vancouver, Ashley Burr, City News.
We have surpassed a significant milestone of having administered over 10.8 million COVID-19 vaccines in Canada.
Canada's Deputy Chief Public Health Officer trying to reassure Canadians that vaccines are making it into arms. It comes as many Canadians struggle to make an appointment to get their shot.
This week, that's our slow week. Next week, with 1 million of Pfizer and 650,000 of Moderna, it's another step up.
According to officials, nearly 30% of adult Canadians have received 1 dose of the vaccine, and 86% of seniors aged 80 and up have received their first dose. But the rollout is still hitting unexpected bumps in the road.
As for Moderna, last week, manufacturer indicated it faces ongoing challenges with ramping up production to meet intense global demand. As a result, our next shipment will be smaller than expected.
Supply of the AstraZeneca vaccine is also hitting snags as manufacturing in India is being impacted by an explosion of COVID cases. But Fortin says Canada is still in good shape.
The total amount of vaccine doses this quarter alone is well above 40 million. And this is end April, and we'll feel that significant increase in the next starting week after next.
So far, Ottawa has distributed almost 14 million doses of vaccines to provinces and territories. In Ottawa, Nigel Newlove, City News.
Vancouver's news is always available on the radio with News 1130 or online anytime at citynews1130.com. Your next edition of City News is tonight at 11 o'clock. Thanks so much for watching and have a great night.